All right, now to delve deeper into that truce, what it means for the country moving forward politically, joining me in studio now is Honorable William Kasaid Kamket. He is the MP for Tiati, and next to him is Professor Herman Mwanyora, political commentator and NTV regular. Thank you for coming in, gentlemen. Let me first get your initial thoughts on, did you see this truce coming? Honorable Kamket, I'll begin with you.
Well, very well, thank you. It was a matter of time. And when I came up with a legislative proposal to try and right the wrongs that are there in the Constitution, it was only a matter of time before the leadership, top leadership of the country come together and realize that we cannot continue in the way we have been continuing. It is not right. And the time is now.
What do you make of it, Professor Mwanyora?
I think it was a surprise to almost everybody.
Yeah.
The timing really was quite a big surprise. Desirable as it may be, I'll spend a lot of time trying to advocate for just that. I've released a number of videos just on that on my YouTube channel. So it was a good thing, but frankly speaking, everybody was surprised.
So is this Raila finally accepting the presidency and recognizing the presidency of Uhuru Kenyatta, and is he ceding ground politically in your view?
You would think so, but if you remember yesterday, he never made reference to President Kenyatta.
Yeah.
And more than that, you see that they signed this as HE, His Excellency, and they refer to each other as my brother, my brother. So you can see they are trying to avoid exactly what you are saying, that Raila to be seen to finally recognizing Uhuru Kenyatta. I think the details will come out when that committee begins to work, that
right.
team they are talking about. At that time, then you will know. But for now, I think they were very guarded against that.
You know, we heard the Deputy President, Honorable Kamket, saying that this totally ends any debate on the 2017 elections. Do you agree with what he said?
Yes, you know, actually there should be no debate in the 2017 elections. The elections are over. And it's a question of, we have, you know, it doesn't matter whether Honorable Raila recognizes Uhuru or not. It does not matter really. The election, the contest is over. The rightful institutions have declared the president. He's been sworn in. So it does not matter whether he supports, he recognizes him or not. So the question, in my opinion, yesterday's handshake is more about 2022 than now. It's about moving forward than now. And if you also look at the timing, it should not be lost to Kenyans that the American Secretary of State was here, and the admission by Henry Rotich the other day that we have a problem, and when Uncle Sam is around, everybody has to behave properly in order to please the donors.
So are you saying that's what occasioned this truce, Tillerson's presence?
I'm not saying it in no uncertain terms, but you see the timing also is very important. But suffice it to say that it is time Kenyans relooked at the infrastructure of the executive. And that's what I've been trying to say in the bill that I've proposed in Parliament, that it is time we relooked at it and see how we can renew ourselves as a nation moving forward. Otherwise, we cannot at every election, at every turn, we cannot turn an election into a bloody contest. No. It's important that we relook at it and look at ways of accommodating the losers in a very respectful way and expanding the apex of the executive. That is what I'm trying to propose.
So that being a precursor, or rather return of a grand coalition government, Professor Mwanyora, are we heading in that direction?
First, before I talk about the grand coalition, whether it'll be there or not, I must point out that if anybody, and especially these two, were to give the impression that this marks the end of the disputes and the election, then they'll get at least minimal support from Kenyans, especially those from NASA. This actually marks the beginning of everything, in my thinking. And that explains perhaps why Raila went there alone. Because there must be a lot of things that will need to be discussed at the level of just those two. before they spill into. And that's why I don't think I support Mudavadi's reaction and Kalonzo's reaction. I think that the timing, at this particular time, I think it was critical that it's just kept between Raila and Uhuru because of the sensitive nature of the kind of discussion they're having, whether it's about 2022 or about now, to answer your question, whether we are going to have some kind of power sharing. What kind of arrangement are they likely to propose or to put in place? I think they needed to do that when they were two, so that by the time they get others on board, it is now less sensitive. People have tested the waters, people have reacted, but not at the level of the principle. So I don't support that kind of reaction. They should have left Raila, since they are meeting him on Monday. Perhaps that would have been a better time for them to be told exactly what was going on. Things of this nature, at that high level, cannot be made public from the first day. So then definitely, if you ask me, will be some kind of power sharing. And the reason is simple. If it's about 2022, or if for the beginning that there is nothing in it for NASA, how do you convince people who lost loved ones? People will ask you, what were we struggling for? So there must be something for NASA. If that something is for 2022 is too far. So it must be something for NASA now. And that's how power sharing comes in, whether anybody likes it or not. So these guys who are ministers must prepare. Some of them must prepare to go home.
So do you agree with Dr. Okot that there should be an apology on behalf of President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga to the people of Kenya, given what happened last year?
They should have apologized to Kenyans. These are people who should be praising. They are doing exactly what serious people have been asking them to do, which is sit down, the two of you. Because this thing is about Raila and Uhuru. For now, it's about those two. The moment they sit down and agree on some kind of roadmap, then the rest of the people will come on board. In fact, the likes of Mudavadi and Wetangula and Kalonzo could even be the people to benefit. Maybe their father had gone hunting. He's yet to tell them what he has brought them, and they are already making noise.
Right.
Yeah, so there's no apology. In fact, anybody who proposes that, like, what do you call it, he should apologize immediately. Because these guys have done what everybody who is serious about this country. Look here, Victoria. In the absence of these two people meeting, this country could burn anytime. So if they have done what sensible people, Kenyans, religious leaders, political leaders, international supporters are saying, please, sit down for the sake of your country. They do that. You ask them to apologize. You should apologize.
All right, so still with me in studio are Honorable Kamket and Professor Mwanyora. Honorable Kamket, you have a bill that you proposed that will reintroduce the position of Prime Minister, and essentially to deal with what we see every election cycle, which is political tension in this country. So tell us more about it briefly and why you decided to bring this forth.
Well, it's pretty, when you do not have to be a rocket scientist to realize that we have a problem. We have a political problem in this country. When we did the Constitution in 2010, we did it because we had a political problem. And then we have lived with this one for another almost now 8 years. And there are some elements of that Constitution that are not working, simply not working. The tribal competition has increased, and it's become more deadly and more fierce. And there are a lot of people, a lot of Kenyans agree with me that we have issues with the strengthening devolution, the constant sibling rivalry between Senate and the National Assembly, and many more. Like we have issues, for instance, at this issue of gender, 2/3 or one, is it 1/3 or 2/3?
2/3 gender rule. Yes.
Gender rule.
Yes.
It is not, Parliament as currently constituted is unconstitutional because it has not obeyed that rule. There are so many other little things in that constitution that really need to be amended. It had to take an initiative of someone like me. I am lucky to have been elected to Parliament. I have taken the initiative. Everybody agrees that this constitution needs to be reviewed. Everyone agrees. But you see, everyone also has their views that I would like it to be done this way. Another one says, I would like it to be done this way. I am saying as Kamket that I would like to be done it this way, and I have the chance now. I have brought the bill to Parliament. It is now with Budget Committee, and I have a lot of respect for the Committee on Budget. I expect it to pass. Then we discuss it in Parliament. Eventually, the process of amending the Constitution will have to go to the referendum. So I expect a very robust debate moving forward.
Yeah. Professor Mwanyora, what do you make of the bill? Because it would see the Prime Minister become leader of government business in the House, the presidential post becoming more ceremonial. Does this really help with the political tensions we've been seeing throughout in this country?
You know, that, Victoria, there are two things about this bill. One is the politics of it, and two is the details within it. So for the politics, there are those like me who believe this animal is too big for my brother here. So many people believe he's a messenger of some sort. The bill is too big for the politics. Will require that we accept somebody could be behind him, if it is true. Now, the question you ask about the details of the bill. Yeah. Actually, this country requires a relook at the provisions and the architecture of our constitution. That is not in doubt. Nobody has ever said is in doubt. Now, I think you need a bigger forum, a much more elaborate forum than he can get now. Because even if you had very, very wonderful ideals within that bill, look here, you need to sell it in a referendum. As an individual, you cannot do that. So it's a bigger animal that it can handle. Now, whether or not we need to change the structure of the executive is not in doubt. Mm-hmm. What happened to the Boma's provision about the Prime Minister? You know, when it got to Naivasha, it was a mongrel. People are wondering, how do you elect a president through universal suffrage? And then you give the power to somebody selected by Parliament? The problem here, Victoria, is that that kind of arrangement has never worked anywhere. You either have a ceremonial president and an executive prime minister, right, yeah, or the other way around. Right. So for us, we are trying a hybrid. It was very difficult. I still believe by the nature of our politics, it can work. In other words, if you separate functions of state from functions of government, if you go in the Constitution section, I don't know what that article, I'm not a lawyer, you see functions of the president. Yeah. You can clearly discern these are state functions. If you give the president those functions and give a prime minister the functions of government, we can go very far. Because by the very nature of this society, the functions of head of state are enormous. They are enough to keep you busy. You will enjoy prestige. You will enjoy sufficient power. You know, passing out parade, receiving diplomats, and all manner of things, and honors, and power of mercy, and controlling the military, and the commander-in-chief, all those kind of things, with somebody separate running government. I think it can work for us.
Thank you. And Honorable Kamket, you talked about this being about 2022, more of a strategic plan to prepare us for that. In light of that, what do you think this means for Deputy President William Ruto, who's of course being positioned for president?
You're talking about the meeting yesterday?
Yes.
You know, we are in legacy times. These are legacy times, and in as much I foresee a situation. I will be corrected if I'm wrong, where we in 2022 will have two very famous retirees in the politics of Kenya. Mm. The first retiree, and most obvious, is the president. And the second retiree, not very obvious, but most likely, highly likely, is the Honorable Raila Odinga. So in as much as Mheshimiwa Uhur Kenyatta will be trying to secure his legacy as he exits the scene, I am seeing also perhaps Mheshimiwa Odinga taking the role of a statesman. Mm-hmm. And he has achieved a lot, and he would perhaps, in what I can see him doing, I see him passing the baton to a younger leader, and that's likely to happen in 2022. Now, the greatest beneficiary, of course, the most obvious beneficiary is the deputy president, right? But at the same time, the formations are just beginning now. Right. There will be other formations moving forward. They say 1 week is a very long time in politics. but 4 years is a
Eternity,
century.
yeah.
It's eternity. So the formations are going to come thick and fast, moving. One formation will come another year, another year there will be another formation. Don't forget that we in Kanu are also looking at it very interesting from a very keen perspective, and the Mudavadis of this world and the Kalonzos are also looking. So the most obvious beneficiary of those two retirees is the deputy president, but there is a lot of story. There's a lot of storytelling and a lot of formation that will happen between now and then.
So, Prof, what do you see it as? Does this implicate or rather impact President Ruto's, or rather Deputy President Ruto's chances in 2022?
You know, you can't predict anything. We are not magicians. But what I can say for sure is that what happened yesterday will have far-reaching ramifications as far as our politics is concerned, now and in the future. I have said Raila must get something out of this, and I'm seeing NASA getting on board in a power-sharing arrangement sooner than many people think. And number two, in 2022, you know, I listen to these gentlemen more keenly than most Kenyans, I think. They say it is two of them who will do this thing.
Right.
And they say they know where the problem is. And that by pronouncement alone, it therefore means, according to me, there must be something mega they can do. And I've said in one of my videos, which I released I think today, is that I've said that I think there is some form of betrayal that has happened in this country. Kenyatta betrayed Raila's father. Kibaki betrayed Raila. This is obvious common sense. Uhuru has made it difficult with the current government for there to be fair contest where Raila would win or lose. I think if you can look for one master stroke to solve Kenya's problem, you will have to address the issue of betrayal that has dogged this country from independence. And that is why I differ with you. In 2022, a young man called Raila Amolo Odinga is likely to be supported for president by Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta in an arrangement where now your bill comes in. That's what I say is not your bill. Where there is a position of prime minister given to Ruto, and this experiment of a prime minister is going to start sooner than we think, so that when we come to 22, we shall then refine it, and it will be attractive to Ruto. As Raila, the debt is paid. Before you pay this debt in this country, we shall never know peace.
Prof, you mentioned betrayal that we've seen throughout politics. Do you think that Raila betrayed his co-principals in NASA?
I have already said I don't see it that way. This is what people are saying. You see, the magnitude of this master stroke that Uhuru and Raila were engaged in, the magnitude and the timing, as it were, coming a bit too earlier than most people thought, and we are not quite prepared for it. Let me be very blunt. If Raila sat with these three gentlemen and discussed his moves, I can bet my last shilling. I have not earned a salary, so I have nothing. If I had earned, I would bet my salary. you parliamentarians, you are messing at the university. Now, I can bet even my breath that if he shared with them, I have no doubt, I'm not saying they are not good gentlemen, but this thing will be out even before they leave the room. And it's the magnitude of what's going on, and it will become clearer as we go ahead. The magnitude and the implication of this meeting of yesterday is such that it needed to be kept secret, at least initially. And that's why I don't see this as betrayal, and that's why I'm asking Mudavadi and the rest of the other two to go a bit slow. The reaction was too fast. Ruto could have known, but he's playing that he didn't know. Equally, it is possible he too was not told, but look at the way he's playing it.
Right.
You see the way he's playing it? Buying time to understand the implication and what is in the deal. On the other side, my brother Musalia Mudavadi and the others are quick. Leaders take time to read the situation, to understand it, so that when they meet Raila on Monday, I hear they have a meeting. If he doesn't explain, that's the right time they can now address Kenyans and tell them, this gentleman did this on 30th of January, portraying us as coward, and look again what he has done. People will really listen to them. But when you jump, before you think about something, before you take time, before you meet Raila, 2 days is not so long. Just wait. The weekend is over. You sit down with Raila. If he doesn't convince you, then you can go public.
Honorable Kamket, what's your view on that? Was there betrayal in your view?
In politics, betrayal is fair game.
Fair game.
Yes.
Correct.
In politics, betrayal is fair game. Because what you call betrayal, another politician's betrayal is another one's re-strategizing and realignments.
Okay.
So I do not want to look at it that negatively, because politics is a living thing. Politics is alive, and every time, and especially now moving towards the 2022, there will be a lot more
Of these.
that's what I'm
Of
saying.
betrayals.
The formations are just beginning, and betrayals are not only restricted to NASA or Jubilee or anybody. They will be there. These formations are going, because it's about alignments and realignments and moving. It's about interests. They are not permanent friends or enemies. The only thing that's permanent are interests.
Interests.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. Let's take a short break here on NTV Weekend Edition. Certainly this debate will continue to rage until we find out more of what it means for the country and